Good morning and thanks for joining us on VOP this morning. Now, today is Wednesday, the 30th day of April 2025. It happens to be the last day of the month. Welcome to the show. I am Chukwuma Okoro. And on the show this morning, we have a lot on our table. First of all, Nnamdi Kanu's trial postponed to May 2 as Ipob slams Sham proceedings. And when we are done with that, Group 6 details on $4 billion refinery repairs under former NNPCL boss, Mele Kyari. I'm not alone.
Well, of course, I am Moses Humphrey, and we'll also be looking at Okowa expressing regrets over vice presidential bid with Atiku in 2023. Well, these are the conversations that we'll focus on this morning. And, well, we do have some other issues that Nigerians are talking about, of course. We'll delve into that in the course of the program. And just so you know, we are on SLTV, channel 264, and we'd like you to be a part of the family. All right, so let's go into some other conversations now. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has said that President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda is positively impacting residents of the Federal Capital Territory. Speaking during an inspection of ongoing infrastructure projects in Abuja, Wike stated that several major developments are on track for completion and inauguration as part of Tinubu's second anniversary celebrations. Wike expressed confidence that these projects would be delivered on time and serve as evidence of progress under the current administration. Well, I don't think this is an issue. It's an issue of perspective, really. Speaking honestly, as far as I am concerned, I think Nyesom Wike he's working in the FCT. He has done quite a lot. There's evidence of what he's doing in the FCT. Street lights have been restored. There was a time that residents complained of lack of street lights and then insecurity spiked. But all of that is being checked. I know those that have lost properties would say, you know, he's not doing anything and the agenda isn't doing anything. But then again, let's look at the atmosphere in which he's working. I mean, he's allowed to collect all the monies, no TSA inhibition.
He just started. I think it's about a month ago.
He's allowed.
It's about a month ago.
The monies are available to him to use.
Like 1 month.
A month ago, we were told.
Yes.
But you know
okay,
how
we don't even know when it started.
We don't even know when it started.
Okay.
You know. So yeah, so he has the resources to work, and he's working. Congratulations to him and congratulations.
Well, congratulations to Nyesom Wike. I've not been to Abuja for quite a while now, maybe like 6 or 7 months. But a colleague of ours went to Abuja last week and he came back. He said, look, people have testimonies, you know, there are testimonials there about what Nyesom Wike is doing, that he's building roads, bridges, and all of that. And a lot of people are applauding him in Abuja, you know, for his good work that he's doing there. But let's take away that. Beyond the infrastructure development, how impactful has the Renewed Hope agenda of the president been in terms of affecting the living standard? The people that live in the FCT, do they buy from a different market where Nigerians buy? What is the Renewed Hope agenda all about? Is it all about bridges? Is it all about roads? Is it all about estates and all of that? I think more is required when you talk about Renewed Hope agenda. Renewed Hope agenda means that you could also walk into a hospital, primary health center, and get treated. Your children should be able to attend private schools. You should walk into the market and buy foodstuff, affordable. By the way, I hear that the prices of rice are coming down, and we're beginning to ask what happened. Is it only rice that is coming down? How about other food items, essential items, like beverages, milk, water, and all of that? Are they also coming down? So when we talk about, when Nyesom Wike says that, look, the Renewed Hope agenda of the current president is having impact on people within the FCT, we should take it away from what Wike is doing in terms of infrastructure development. Let us devolve it to the standard of living of the people in terms of the economic metrics of the whole thing. And that said, how do we even measure? We also had, I think Goodluck Jonathan and his wife had this program too that they floated and all of that. Even Buhari's wife had something that they floated as a government and, within the fringes of government. During the elections, what happened? They lost within the precincts of Aso Villa. Even in the last general election, APC lost within the precincts of Aso Villa. So, all those agendas that they rolled out to impact on the lives of the people, how are they measured? Because these things are measured by how people say, look, you did well, come back to office. They didn't come back. For a very long time now, presidents in Aso Rock have been losing elections. What accounts for that? Is it that the people within the precincts of or within Abuja expect more? The current president even lost the elections in Abuja, the presidential elections, he didn't win. So how impactful was the antecedents of the previous APC government led by Muhammadu Buhari? These are the things we should put together before we start clapping hands for anybody. Oh, well, 2027 is around the corner. We have 2 years down the line to determine whether this particular government, whether their agenda, especially the Renewed Hope agenda, has been very impactful on the people of Abuja. Now, let's move away from that and talk about one quite topical issue that speaks to our national life as a people in terms of corruption, in terms of corporate governance structures and all of that. As former Senator Bala Ibn Na'ala has stated that many Nigerian lawmakers face financial hardship after leaving office, with some even struggling to pay their children's school fees. While speaking at an interview, the ex-KB South Senator refuted the popular belief that political office guarantees wealth. Nigerians will think differently. Well, Naira challenged the media to investigate former legislators who entered politics without prior wealth and see if they can afford basic expenses a year after leaving office. He emphasized that the public perception of lawmakers living in luxury is often misleading, noting that some enter the National Assembly expecting riches but end up financially worse up. Well, a lot of Nigerians, starting from me, will disagree with what the ex-legislator has said. A lot of people are very poor, are sponsored. Some of them even borrow money to get into office. And when they get into office, they become stupendously wealthy based on the sweat of you and I, our natural resources, our common wealth. Look at this administration. When they came into office, the first thing they did was to take a loan. And out of how much they took, about 300 or 200 billion Naira, they gave 70 billion to legislators to retrofit their wardrobes and offices. Well, some people that didn't manage the money well are the ones that will go broke after serving in government. So it clearly tells you that, look, when you take money and that money is not cultured in terms of having to nurture it over time, it is simply going to fizzle out. And they live a certain type of lifestyle that predisposes them to extravagant lives. And when you are unable to sustain that, that is how they get broke. It's not only with legislators. You have people in the executive who were not doing anything. They were handpicked, got into government, and after serving 4 or 5 years, or even less than that down the line, they become very broke. So we should also begin to interrogate the people we take into government, people we elect into government. How have they fared as individuals before they even got into government? So it is neither here nor there. But the popular thing, what comes to mind instantly is that, look, these monies were not reinvested. Taken from our public purse, they were not reinvested, they were free-tied. Because some of them also believe that, look, after this dispensation, I will still come back. And if they don't come back, that is when they run into trouble.
Well, you've said quite a lot already. It's what Ibn Nala has said is not far from the truth, honestly speaking, because I'm going to speak from information gathered, because I know someone within the South, one of the Southeast states, who served in the State Assembly. He served 2 terms in the State Assembly. But then, when he did not return in 2023, he didn't return in 2023. As at 2024, somebody saw him in a rented apartment, living way below what is expected of one who had served and had money when he served. So it speaks to the fact that we have, that's why a lot of them would want to remain in office. They do all they can to remain in office because they are career politicians. Outside the monies they get from politics, I don't think they have any other creative idea to regenerate funds. They just believe, okay, let's sit down here and siphon the nation. Let's just get, so really we should question those that we elect into offices to make laws, how well have they ruled their own lives? How well have they impacted those within their little space before they come into political office? If they haven't done well in terms of, financial management and, putting up structures to benefit those within their environment, those close to them, how then do you think they will put out laws or administer the nation the way they should? Questions should be asked, and that it also speaks to the fact that politics with reference to lawmaking should be part-time. That way, what they earn will be reduced. All the emails that go into their boxes, and everything will be drastically reduced. And then they know that this is the time they have to do this, and then Nigerians can also follow up on other activities that they do in their own personal lives. If they have businesses that they've invested in, that will also benefit their constituents, they will know. All right. Oh well.
I want us to talk a bit about the part-time thing. What other part-time do we expect of them?
They're not on full. They're on full-time.
They're on full-time, but
180 days.
180 days.
But it's full-time still.
No, it's part-time. It should be part-time.
It should be
Let's
part-time,
call it what it is.
Full-time.
You and I, we work 365 days a year because we work Saturday, Sunday.
Yes.
Now we have people who work 180 days.
Yes.
They go on recess, emails are sent,
yes,
and all of that. So what other part-time are they asking for? Are we asking for?
They oversee projects when they are not working. That's what
they say. Okay, that is part of it. So when you are at home, don't you do research to help you do the work the following day?
Well,
yes, I understand the angle, but I think the part-time thing, is it going to work? Because we see people that are doing full-time, and plenary is never failed to the brim. So what other, by the time you give them like the permission to, or if there's a constitutional approval, electoral law is changed and they say, okay, you can now do part-time, probably they'll cut it down to like 100 days. We're already struggling with the quality of legislation that is coming out from the National Assembly when they are doing 180 days. You see them come back, a national budget of 54 trillion naira is passed within 2-3 days. Who does that? And you expect something meaningful to come out of that? No, it doesn't happen. So they should do more. As a matter of fact, let them do full-time, but they should do more. Let them do full-time, but they should do more. That's my opinion about it.
All right, then. Well, let's go into another story now. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, have arrested Nigerian socialite Emeka Okonkwo, popularly known as E-Money, over alleged Naira abuse and money laundering. Now, he was apprehended in the Omole area of Lagos and has since been moved to EFCC office in Abuja. Now, E-Money, CEO of Emi Cargoes Nigeria Limited and 5-Star Music, was allegedly seen spraying money. Well, some say Naira, but he was basically seen spraying pounds and dollars at an event, potentially violating Foreign Exchange, Monetary and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. However, EFCC has yet to release an official statement on his arrest. Now, these arrests follow a recent detention of singer Terry Apala as part of the EFCC's intensified crackdown on currency abuse and financial crimes. Well, going a little deeper into that story, we hear that the number of EFCC officials that went to his house were in their tens. Quite a lot of them, more than 20 of them, I hear, went to arrest him. And I start to wonder, is it for financial crime? What is it? I mean, is there something more to it? And then the invading the house, in the wee hours of the day, it makes us ask the question, you treat people like they are big-time criminals for, what I will call petty crime. Yes. It was said, according to VDM, because I also heard his own take on the issue. Sorry, I'm quoting him here, but he did say that E-Money was arrested because he stepped on Naira while spraying pounds sterling. in the process. So, well, Nigerians should know that there is a law against this, even though we've seen certain individuals whose parents are within the political, arena, spray Naira, abuse the Naira, and nothing is done. Instead, the policemen attached to them are picked up. And I wonder, speaking about this, just the other day, some Chinese officials were spraying the Naira at a mining site. Have they been arrested? I haven't heard if they have been arrested. The ones we talked about yesterday, they should be arrested as well, because that's an abuse. As they were throwing the Naira, it fell on the ground and people trampled on it as they scampered to pick some. So those Chinese officials or Chinese, they should be arrested. Anyway, if we want to be true to our words, the same law should cut across every individual. Everyone should be held liable for breaking the law, not certain treatment to some people, and then some people are let off the hook based on who they know or where they are from. It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate, and you just took it from my mouth. The Chinese that we're seen spraying Naira, at a mining site, what has become of them? Nobody have not heard. Maybe they have been, but I've not heard that they've been arrested. And just the other day, we also saw Chinese, line up Nigerian policemen and doled out Crips Naira notes to them in violation of our own financial regulations too, and nothing has been done about that. Well, someone said that the Chinese apologized. So this other person, is he going to apologize too? So when you have different laws for different sets of people, especially when foreigners are involved, we have seen foreigners kill Nigerians here, Chinese in particular. There was a certain Chinese man that pushed a lady down from a factory building somewhere in the southeast. I'm not sure something ever came out of that. We have seen Chinese people, foreigners assault Nigerians, and the government looks the other way. But it is convenient for them to say, look, e-money, you have violated foreign exchange regulations by spraying by spraying dollar and pounds. So how about foreigners who are spraying Naira here and they don't get arrested? What message are you sending out? The police force. You are simply telling us that foreigners are valued more in Nigeria than Nigerians. That is not the right thing to do. Okay, I understand that e-money has been released too, but he was brought in for questioning. He has been released. It's a good thing, and nobody is saying that he shouldn't have been arrested. What we are saying is that, look, if you arrested him for violation or a certain infraction, you should also arrest the Chinese and question them. And people are asking, what were they?
Nigerians too. Other
Nigerians too.
Who've been seen doing the same thing.
The same thing. So let us not have different laws for different people. It doesn't help our democracy. It doesn't help our jurisprudence at all. Unfortunately, we should do better than this.
Oh, yes, we should. Oh, well, talking about doing better, let's now go to the papers. We'll take a little break. When we come back, we'll be looking at stories from the cover pages of the dailies. Join us again.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP this morning, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now let's go through the newspaper headlines this morning. I'll start with The Guardian, where the big story is Naira Mobile at crossroads seeks $3 billion lifeline as 10.3 million subscribers port. I'll take that again for clarity and emphasis. Naira Mobile at crossroads seeks $3 billion lifeline as 10.3 million subscribers port. Shareholders hail Ovia Umoji approved Zenith's 95.67 billion naira dividend. Now there are more stories there. NFU identifies betting, fintechs, others as enablers of kidnapping. Now, despite 40 trillion naira investment in 11 years, insecurity in Nigeria unacceptable. Federal government witness testifies behind closed doors as Kanu's terrorism trial begins. Akpabio, Abakoba demands Natasha's retraction of sexual harassment claims. And there are more stories there. PDP to use Oborowori others. PDP to sue Oborowori others as Okowa assures of articles imminent decamp. Lagos empowers 1,700 entrepreneurs through micro support initiative. MBS expands CPI, unveils daily price movement data. And the CACO presidential aide seeks probe of illegal student loan deductions. And that's all from the Guardian newspaper.
And then to the Nigerian News Direct, PDP declares legal war on Okowa Oborowori over defection to APC. The writers to that story moves to court, appoint Ogidi to lead fresh structure in Delta. PDP NWC dumps Ayan, endorses Koshoedo as acting national secretary. Okowa backs Tinubu for 2027, blasts opposition coalition as structureless. And then the window headlines: kidnap for ransom crisis, over 735 mass abductions recorded since 2019. NFIU raises alarm. Waterfares safety, Oyetola flags off distribution of 42,000 life jackets. Operatives uncover training school for Yahoo Yahoo quiz 30 suspects. Operatives uncover training school for Yahoo Yahoo quiz 30 suspects. And then we also have shareholders applaud Dangote Sugar for sustained leadership as turnover grows by 51%. Alleged money laundering, Aisha Achimogu arrested, declares hunger strike in EFCC custody. Well, those are the headlines.
And up next is the Guardian Vanguard newspaper with the big story. Defections, PDP goes to court, says APC will soon implode. Tax East South-South Committee to oversee party in Delta. I informed Atiku before defecting Okowa, says he wasn't hounded by EFCC. Now the window headlines. Governor Obebelo goes tough on kidnappers, cultists, commences demolition of properties linked to sponsors. Public sector deficit, borrowing, threat to $1 trillion economy. That's coming from Nasima and the organized private sector OPS. Boko Haram kills 24 mourners, hunters in Adamawa, Borno, raise church, houses. 2 soldiers die in line mine explosion. Now, Zenith Bank promises quantum leap in dividends. More stories from the Vanguard. Lawmakers, telcos clash over kidnapping, phone-related crimes. And Trump's 100 days, how America's first president is reshaping the world. Gowon Obasanjo, governors orders to honor Clark in Lagos tomorrow. Japa, we can't get doctors to recruit. That's coming from the Kwara government. And that's all from the Vanguard newspaper.
And then Nigerian Tribune has these headlines: minimum wage. NLC kicks, says some states merely added 5,000 naira to workers' salaries. Achimugu declares hunger strike as EFCC confirms arrest. No attempted Boko Haram invasion in Oyo. Trending video outdated. Oyo Police Command. I told Atiku about my exit from PDP. His leaving too. Okowa, what a revelation. PDP vows legal battle to reclaim mandate. Nobody can kill PDP. Damagam. NWC appoints South-South caretaker to oversee state chapter. And Nigeria in deficit of 300,000 doctors, FG, earmarks over 110 billion naira to revamp 18 varsities medical schools. Kwara needs over 100 doctors. Hospital Management Board, that's according to the Hospital Management Board. How Nigeria can create prosperity that will last. This is coming from Makinde. Appreciates Tinubu's wife for ICT Center in Ibadan. Ekiti North leaders, stakeholders endorse Oyebanji, deputy for second term. Well, these are the headlines on the cover page of Nigerian Tribune.
Let's quickly run through the Daily Trust with the window headlines. FBI orders to release Tinubu probe reports Friday. I'll take that again for emphasis. FBI orders to release Tinubu probe reports Friday. Alleged money laundering, Achimogu to appear in court today. ISWAP claims responsibility for Bono attack as death toll hits 26. Now the big story. Okowa's choice as running mate cost article 2023 presidency. This is coming from Abba Moro. More stories. We trek for miles, Mina residents say as curfew bites. Soldier to die by hanging for killing girlfriend. How dozens of civilian JTF died defending communities in Borno, Yobe, Adamawa. NMPCL appoints Idrisu Obioma, sacks Port Harcourt Refinery's MD, 200 others. That's all from Daily Trust newspaper.
And then The Punch has these headlines. Hurricane Tinubu, PDP NWC governors meet next week to avert defections. Party to sue Delta governor. 547 LG chairmen, assemblymen, councillors as Atiku Okowa clash. COAS vows tough offensive as Boko Haram kills 40 in Borno. NNPCL shakeup. MDs of Port Harcourt, Warri, Kaduna refineries sacked. Several Milikiyari-era top executives axed in major overhaul. Obi doesn't need PDP, Atiku coalition to defeat Tinubu, NLC. And then you go further, we have these headlines here. Nigeria risks breakup without federal reform, Anyoko warns. NSA plans joint security screening at airports. Kanu's trial, DSS submits Radio Biafra devices in court. U.S. jails Nigerian who defrauded 400 elderly people of inheritance. Zenith Bank shareholders approve 195 billion naira dividend. Well, these are the headlines that we have for you at the moment, newspaper headlines. But at 10 o'clock on Newspaper Review, we will be going a lot more deeper into these headlines. Now let's get into the next conversation. We'd like you to come along with us. May 2, set for Nnamdi Kanu's trial as IPOB rejects staged trial. Well, join us again as we get into this conversation proper.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more.
Join me on Sundays every 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Voice of the People TV.
Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. we unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Saturday, 2 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority.
Everybody keep watching Voice of the People. All right? Love you all.
Hello, sweetie. What's going on? My name is Kiki. Keep watching VOP TV. Thanks.
Hey guys, what's going on? Olumide Oru, the Fresh Prince of Lagos here, and this is VOP TV, guys.
Hello guys, I want you to please keep on watching VOP TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hafiz Oyetoro. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Shout out to VOP TV.
Very big shout out to the fans and lovers of VOP TV. My name is Tayo Faduro. I'm an actor that you are going to live to love. Keep watching. Cheers.
Hi everyone, so shout out to VOP TV.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector,
Welcome back. It's VOP This Morning, of course. And let's get into the conversation now. The trial of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, resumed at the Federal High Court in Abuja and was adjourned to May 2, 2025. During the session, the prosecution presented its first witness under court-approved protection, concealing the witness's identity from the public. Now, only Kanu was allowed to see the witness, and this is in accordance with legal protocol. Well, in his defense, Kanu argued that his advocacy for the self-determination of the Southeast, South-South, and parts of Benue and Kogi states is a constitutional right, not a criminal act. He maintained that freedom fighting is internationally recognized as legitimate and should not be equated with terrorism. Now, speaking after the proceedings, Kanu's special counsel, Barrister Aloy Jimakor, described the hearing as the delayed beginning of the trial, heavily influenced by government pressure. Meanwhile, IPOB condemned the trial, calling it a sham and demanding its immediate end. The group alleged that the legal proceedings are politically motivated and aimed at silencing its leader and suppressing the broader movement for self-determination. We have with us Barrister Darlington Akumwa, who is a political analyst. And virtually, we're being joined by Mr. Eugene Igo, human rights activist, public affairs analyst, political analyst as well. And yes, he will be joining us from our Benin station right there. Well, let's start off with Barrister Darlington, who is with us in the studio. Barrister, let's speak it from the statement made by Nnamdi Kanu, talking about his freedom fighting and fighting for, the states, the regions that he mentioned, southeast, south, some parts of Benue, some parts of Kogi. If you do recall, in recent past, we've had people in some parts of the south actually dissociating themselves from the IPOB struggle, dissociating themselves from the fight for achievement of Biafra. We've heard people within Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and have also said, look, I'm not part of this. My people, Ikwere people, are not part of this. We are not even Igbos. With statements like that coming up, does it seem like a lost struggle? Is Nnamdi Kanu deceiving himself in, the struggle for emancipation? Is he trying to emancipate people who do not want to be emancipated?
Moses, I don't think so. Whenever you are pursuing a cause like this, not everybody will be on board. I mean, you will see few people, who will be disgruntled because they don't even know what you are talking about.
But is it possible to compel people to join a struggle? Or let's say the secession is achieved. Can you compel people to be part of, a Biafra if that is formed?
Nobody will compel anybody. Let us look at it from the beginning, because this thing did not just start today. When the Israelites were leaving Egypt, just little obstacle on the way, they started grumbling that they want to go back to Egypt. They started talking to Moses. Why did you bring us from Egypt, where we are eating 3 square meals, this and that? But today, the rest is history. So, when you are pursuing a cause like this, there are people, they don't even know the vision. They don't know what it entails. And so they will disgruntle, but it is a referendum that will decide. Now, if the majority say, look, we are for Biafra, and you say you don't want, then leave Biafra land. Leave it. That's just the simple truth. So if the majority say, look, or 80 to 90% of the people, because I don't expect everybody to be 100% on this. It's not possible. So if you now don't agree, then you leave. It's as simple as that.
But Barrister, talking about referendum, in relation to the question Moses asked, parts of Benue Kogi, Nnamdi Kanu has already drawn a map, parts of the south, and these people are saying, no, we don't want to be part of it. If eventually we get to the point where the federal government, the central government, the Nigerian state says, okay, let's conduct a referendum, will it be proper, to solve this problem once and for all, by also extending the referendum or even conducting double, in those areas to say, do you want to be part or don't you want to be part? Is it a track that we could use to solve this problem?
They say when we get to the bridge, we now think of crossing it. If the people that you mentioned are interested, they will ask for it.
No, exactly the point, because we have certain people within those groups saying, no, count us out, we are not part of this.
Yes.
We also have other groups within those groups saying, look, we are in.
It happened in South Sudan.
Exactly. I was trying to mention the Blue Nile and Kordofan and all those areas.
They said no, and today they are regretting it. They are regretting because the major, the real Sudanese state is now dealing with them, and they are now wondering why they were not part of the South Sudan. So it is their choice. Nobody will force anybody to join Biafra. It's not possible. You can't come and force me to join you. No. If you are comfortable where you are, stay there. After all, when the civil war, we did not compel anybody now. Biafra did not compel anybody. This same area, this Benue Plateau, we are not the one that was even killing Biafrans in numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't force them.
All right, Barrister, we'll come back to you. Let's go to Benin City, where we have Mr. Eugene Iho standing by. Good morning to you, Mr. Eugene.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Nice to be here.
Okay. Now, by the way, Eugene is a human rights activist as well as public affairs analyst. Thanks for coming to VOP this morning. Now, the question is, I don't know if you witnessed the trial of Nnamdi Kanu yesterday, where the witnesses were shielded, from a public view, and Nnamdi surrendered the Radio Biafra materials as evidence before the court and all of that. Now, what do you make of this trial? Do you think it's a legal trial, or do you think it's a political trial by the way it's going? I want you to factor in that, look, Nnamdi had 4 senior advocates of Nigeria added to his team. What do you make of this trial? IPOB has said, look, this trial is a sham because they are trying to more like, suppress the voice of their leader, suppress the agitators for self-determination. What's your broad reaction to this trial in terms of the legal or political perspective?
Yeah, thank you so very much. So for me, it's of course it's not today we've been having these conversations on Nnamdi Kanu, and just to support what the other person said, it's not a crime to break away from any country. We've had countries break away from major countries in the world, right? It's not a crime to break away from any country. However, you can't do this through crisis, through violence, and inciting elements of conflict in how you go about it. There is a process, there is a guideline, referendum. That is a process to seeking emancipation for your people. I also love the fact that there is one fact that not all Igbos are in support of this cause. In fact, there are some non-Igbos who don't support this cause. There are some non-Igbos who support this cause. So in as much as you want to have a beautiful plan for your people, you must realize that your right also stops where another person's right begins. But for me, this is the idea. Okay. Referendum is the process.
Okay. All right, Eugene, let me stay with you. You said that trying to, harass and kill people, trying to get violent is not the right way to go for self-determination. Apparently condemning the track that certain people have used, to agitate for self-determination. Now, when all avenues for peaceful resolution of crisis, grievances, have been closed out to a people, to an ethnic group, what else do you want them to resort to? Or do you expect them to just sit idly by and watch them being decimated by the central state, being marginalized, being taken out of, excluded from the commanding heights of a national life? If all these avenues, like people have said, look, we've had conferences, 1995, 2005, and 2014. 3 conferences, and everything is gathering dust in a drawer somewhere in Abuja. People have said, look, we are marginalized and all of that. Let us talk. Let's sit down and talk. When all these avenues of peaceful means of resolving grievances, like I said, have been closed out, what alternatives are left for a group of people?
For me, it's continuous collaboration, continuous discussions on the matter. Let me give you a particular example. I don't see the reason why the eastern states should be going through Monday sit at home. I have never imagined the reason. Why do you just put your people down on a Monday morning just because you don't want them to go to work, because you are pushing for a cause? There are a lot of Igbo persons who are in the helms of power in this state right now. We have many ministers who are Igbos, we have many senators, we have many rep members who are Igbos. And for me, the drive is continuous discussions, continuous engagement to push this cause if you want the pathway. Yes, I understand Nnamdi Kanu's case is not just a case of legal issues. It's now beginning to take up political dimensions. Of course, we've not had any president who has had a political will to release him
Okay, I get your drift, Eugene. When you talk about continuous discussion, you know, we see people who are simply waving flags, and they are killed in their numbers by the central government. And you see another group of people who kill others with assault rifles, you know, and nothing is done about them. Do you expect the people who are simply waving flags to keep quiet? That is go back to that question. When all avenues for peaceful means of resolving grievances have been closed out, what alternatives are left for people? Is it continuous discussion? When you are discussing, you are being excluded the further, the more. You are being killed by the central government, by the state itself. What other avenues are left apart from discussions, holding discussions?
Yes, of course. You can't continue to go through. I understand the fact that people have been marginalized, people have gone through a lot of problems just because of this issue. But again, there is an adage in the House of Parliament that says, what peace will not give you, crisis will not give you. So for me, I feel the Igbo nation who want this pathway should continue to make efforts to push this cause. In the Western world, there are people who drive their ideologies through intellectual means. It could be debates, symposium, writing on media, being on just better ways, but not crisis. You understand? Not crisis. I want to tell you, for example, this issue of sit-at-home in the eastern part of Nigeria right now, the Igbos have suffered a lot because of this very, very thing. People have died over nothing, right? So if you want this pathway for your people, there are better ways of going about this. Referendum is one of the surest way. Even beyond that is the fact that can we have people to write about these things? Can we have people to talk about better means, legal means of going through this process, not having to kill people because you want to emancipate your people? That's not the right way. And this is my stand.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Eugene. All right, so Barrister, let me come back to you. Speaking about I know we've had this conversation repeatedly, but you know, as long as it keeps coming up, we'll keep talking about it. The continued seat at home, we all know how it started, and we all know what it's degenerated into. Now, do you think people still willingly sit at home? Do you think they are being compelled to do so? Do you think that is playing in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu or working against his clamor for a Biafra? If the people feel like, look, their source of livelihood is being affected, their children cannot go to school, some of them have been killed in the process of wanting to defy the seat-at-home order, either be it carried out by IPOB or those that have hijacked it. Whatever the case may be, how has this impacted on his struggle and the struggle for, Biafra?
Thank you, Moses. Initially, when this sit-at-home started, it was in solidarity with Nnamdi Kanu's ongoing trial before the federal government, by the federal government. And the Igbos or the Southeastern felt that, look, this young man is being persecuted, not prosecuted. And in solidarity, they said, look, we are going to sit at home to express our grievances, our disagreement with what he's going through. And it continued until some undesirable elements now hijacked it and started doing what is wrong.
So basically, would you say they miscalculated?
No, they did not. They did not.
And you think if they had known that it would be hijacked, they would have initiated?
Yes, it was going on smoothly until this thing I told you now happened. And because of that, Nnamdi Kanu and Ipob now said, look, nobody should sit at home again unless and on the day Nnamdi Kanu is going to court for his trial. That is the only day people can now, in solidarity, say, look, we are staying at home, or some people can even come to court and all that. That is how it was structured. Nnamdi Kanu came out and said it openly, that no more sit at home.
Barrister Darlington, do you think that the hijackers, were fifth columnists? Where do you think the hijackers came from?
There are people, look, it is always the case everywhere. When NSAS happened here, didn't government deploy some ruffians to go and infiltrate the protest.
So are you saying it was government that sent the hijackers?
Who were they working for? Who else could have infiltrated that peaceful protest? No, tell me. Who?
No, we're talking about the hijackers now.
It is always like that. Whenever you are pursuing a cause, there is always field columnists who will come and play the spoiler. And that was what they did in the Southeast. Okay, look at it this way. When this thing happened, and the federal government brought military or the security agencies into the Southeast, we thought they were coming to bring peace. Moses and Okoro, when they come in, it wasn't not the time that this thing escalated. Unknown government came in. As I read the Kubo now, we did not even know
in all of this. How has it benefited the struggle for secession? How has it benefited IPOB? What can they do differently now, seeing that even the people, lives have been lost, properties have been destroyed, either be it by the hijackers or the original people that wanted a seat at home. But basically, properties have been lost. Now, traveling to the Southeast is a problem, especially if you have to pass through the Southeast on a Monday. If you have any business there, people would rather say, okay, I don't want to fly on Monday, let me just move it to Tuesday. How has this affected, and the struggle, how has it affected the struggle?
It has not affected it negatively. It has not. These are temporary measures or temporary issues that can be overcome. Look, you cannot rule away some of these things. These are, what do I call it now? Collateral damage.
Collateral damage.
Collateral damage, yes. You cannot be struggling.
The people that you intend to
I mean, it was not the people that are fighting for this self-determination that are causing it now.
Okay, let me pose this question
they brought into the area to cause this damage. Okay. And we are taking care of it by now. It has died down.
All right, Barrister, thank you very much. We know that the governors are still struggling to curtail the excesses of groups that have emerged in their bid to enforce a seat at home or to take... Anyway, let me pose this question to Mr. Ego now. Your thoughts on this? Do you think the seat at home, the way it turned out at the end of the day, is is supporting the struggle or working against it? Do you think a lot more people, especially those who have lost properties and loved ones, will still want to associate with the struggle for emancipation?
Yes, again, for me that is a very foolish way of going about your emancipation. You can't, in this age and time, 21st century, you ask people to sit at home because you want to move for your own emancipation. That is completely.
So do you say? Are you going to say, or do you think it was a miscalculated attempt to compel government to do their bidding?
I'm not sure Nnamdi Kanu foresaw the fact that this decision will have problem or will cause problem to his people. I think I was in Enugu State 2 weeks ago, and on Mondays there is no flight because of sit at home. It's so sad. So right now, even in the minds of students or lecturers or civil servants, Mondays is not work. Nobody goes to work on Monday. You will begin work on Tuesday. Have you imagined the economic regression that has caused the Eastern State just because of this issue? We all know that the Eastern State are very good when it comes to economic issues and how much they are into business. Have you imagined the fact that every Monday in the East, nobody goes to work? In some cases, people even die. Nobody goes to work.
Okay. Eugene, Mr. Igo, let me stay with you. It would be nice to put out here, as a matter of fact, that a lot has changed in the Southeast when you talk about the Monday sit at home. I've used the airport on a Monday to the Southeast. It worked. A lot of people go to work. In Abia State, where I come from, schools are open on Mondays. Exactly. The markets are open on Mondays. Exactly. It's just pockets of places in the Southeast where the sit at home thing is still holding its way. But like 75-80% of the Southeast is free on Mondays. But curiously, people are asking, why is it that on Mondays, the soldiers that were drafted to the Southeast to keep the peace, you don't find them on the streets on Mondays?
I wonder.
Was that some form of complicity or collaboration? And now, that said, what would be your take on how much the federal government has done? Because at a point, it was this sit at home that escalated and brought insecurity, so to say, in the Southeast. Do you think that the federal government has been very sincere in the way it handled it? Or did they just say, well, it's your problem. If you want to kill yourself, just go ahead and kill yourself? Do you think that federal government, with all the intelligence available to them, that they did enough to curb or to quell the insecurity in the Southeast by more like looking the other way? When businesses crumbled, more like during in the heat of the sit at home. Like I said, now it has actually thawed.
Yeah.
Things have gone back to normal. But within that period, do you think that the federal government did enough?
Yeah, so two things. Okay. Of course, in some parts of, like for example, in Enugu, I missed we couldn't fly on Monday in Enugu airport. Yes, I experienced it 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, in as much as in some states in the east, normalcy have been restored, but largely there's this fear over the fact that a Monday in the east is not really a complete Monday. I understand the fact that some states have been able to drift away from the initial plan, which is and I really commend those persons who have deemed it fit to see that this is not an ideal way of seeking emancipation, and so we want to return back to our work on Monday, which is, in fact, I give them 100%. The other side of the fact that, again, the Nigerian political system it's very funny to believe in. I can't imagine that on Mondays, for example, over time, the government has to pull out security just...
Okay, so sorry, Eugene, I'd like for you to land on the second question that I said, because we are coasting home to end this conversation.
Yes.
Do you think that within the heat of that period, that the federal government, even now, do you think that the federal government has done enough to quell the insecurity in the Southeast after militarizing the area and all of that?
Of course, beyond the Southeast, the Nigerian government has failed when it comes to insecurity. It's so sad. It's so very sad. We can't talk about this. In fact, we can talk about 1 hour of how much the government has failed us when it comes to insecurity. It's so sad. And that's the reason why, for example, when I saw Fabio in area,
all right,
it was so for example, he's telling Nigerians that poverty is a virtue and people should learn from the fact that the Pope was...
All right, thank you very much,
when he died. It's so sad.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Barrister, let me ask you this. IPOB have said, look, this trial is a sham. It should be stopped. How would you assess that statement, seeing that the federal government have always, the federal government have shied away from trial all along, and Nigerians have been calling for trial. If you have anything against the man, try him. And now the federal government is saying, okay, now we want to try, and IPOB is saying the trial is a sham. What do you think? I know you don't work with IPOB, but as a public affairs commentator, what do you think IPOB is asking for? Release without trial, or trial and prove his innocence?
Thank you very much. You see, let us look at the history of this case briefly. He was arrested first in 2015. Is that not?
Yes.
In one hotel along Airport Road. From that time to 2017, when they invaded his house and he managed to escape, there was no charge on his head, nothing. Are you aware of that? For over 2 years, nothing was, no charge was brought against him. So, what happened? Now, when he managed to escape in 2017, he went into exile. And then, from there to Kenya, where he was a rendition to Nigeria in 2021. Yet, no charge until this thing we are hearing just 2 days ago, yesterday. So all this while, you mean they didn't know what charge to bring against him if actually they have something on him? You mean they just arrested Nnamdi Kanu and they were shopping for a charge on his head? Because all the activities of Nnamdi Kanu is in the open.
So in your summation, what do you think IPOB is asking for?
Of course, they should let him go, because the matter have gone to court, and the appeal court said, look, this man should be let loose. He should be allowed to go home. Yes, all the 15 count charge, the initial could not even hold water in court.
That's so let him go without trial.
We trial again. What are you trying him for? When the court have told you that this man have no case to answer. So this one that they brought now is just that let us just do something. Let us do something so that we will not be ashamed of our action.
Is it not?
Remember that the court condemned the action of the federal government. I hope you know.
But the federal government, the federal government have insisted on a trial. Is it not better a trial is held and he's proven innocent? And then if the federal government decides to continue to detain him, then the world will know that yes, there is a lot more to this.
Already, it has happened when the court say he should go. But the federal government still kept him in detention while they were shopping for charge and evidence. The court have told the federal government to allow him to go. What are you now saying?
Barrister, do you think that the federal government wants to correct the mistake they made initially by not letting him go? And maybe probably running through this trial to say, okay, he was found not guilty, let him just go, just to save their face. Are you saying that is what they want to do?
No, they were looking for something that is not there. Like Binta Nyako, who told somebody that, look, she doesn't think that the federal government will sustain any charge against Nnamdi Kanu.
Barrister, how do you think Nnamdi will be let go anytime soon?
He must be let go. I said must. He must be let go. Whether he go through the trial or at the point they say, okay,
is that the analyst in you speaking, or
yes, because you can
emotional part of you speaking?
I am looking at it from the legal point of view, because if they had any serious issue against Nnamdi Kanu, they would have done something ab initio. They would have done that. So this other person that they have been pampering and all that, can you compare them with Nnamdi Kanu's activity? The answer is no. So on what basis will you now say he should be, sentenced to death?
Okay. Barrister, you think they are just prolonging the trial to keep him there in perpetuity?
I think so, because that's what they do. They break your spirit by putting you in solitary confinement. Yeah, that's what the federal government have done so far.
Does he look broken?
Sorry?
Does he look broken?
He doesn't. That's the unfortunate thing. He doesn't.
All right. Then.
The last time he appeared before Binta Nyako, you saw how he was even reading the law for them. So he doesn't. I think that's why they say, okay, let us do something. Whether there were people conspiring against him or not, this trial will expose all the shenanigans, because you are going to deal with law here.
Okay.
Remember, initially, they wanted to try him, but when they discovered that they don't have jurisdiction, because whatever he said it in the UK. And the guy is saying, take me to UK now, where you said I was broadcasting. But they couldn't.
Well, the trial has started.
They couldn't.
They presented the radio equipment in court as well. And,
they only saw equipment, he never broadcast anything here. I hope you know.
They brought the equipment.
They brought they brought the equipment, but he never broadcast anything in Nigeria. That's the fact.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Barrister Darlington Agumor and Eugene Ego. Well, let's go into another conversation now. Groups seek details of $4 billion refinery repairs under former NNPCL boss, Miliki Yari. Let's discuss this when we come back.
Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. We unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, a coalition of lawyers and civil society organizations, CSOs, submitted a Freedom of Information request to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, on Tuesday, seeking full disclosure on refinery repairs under former CEO Mele Kyari. The Concerned Citizens Against Corruption, leading the push, has filed petitions with the Attorney General, Minister of Finance, and EFCC to investigate Kyari's tenure, which included allegations of inflated contracts, fraudulent crude oil allocations, and misappropriated funds. The CAOs are demanding transparency on the $4 billion reportedly spent on repairs and urging NNPCL to comply with the Freedom of Information Act. Well, we still have Mr. Eugene Iho, who joined us from our Benin studio. But we have been joined here in Lagos by Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele is a citizen reporter as well as a VOP in-house analyst. Good morning, Dele Fanimo. Thanks for joining.
Good morning, Moses and Chukuma.
All right.
Morning.
Now, okay, Dele, let me start with you. Yesterday, we had information that, look, Port Harcourt Refinery 1, it's not performing. You know, it can't even produce at 1/4 capacity. And we also hear that Warri Refinery is down. It's not producing. Meanwhile, within the last how many years, less than 2 years, we spent a whopping $4 billion to put these refineries in order. And I understand work is still ongoing in the Kaduna Refinery and all of that. $4 billion? Can't it build a new refinery for us? So why are we spending that kind of money to refurbish a refinery, and after like 2 or 3 months, it goes back to what it was before, especially when we were even told, when they said they had rolled out the refinery that it was producing, people told us, look, it wasn't nothing was going on there. And in all of this, we have somebody who's been retired and is enjoying his retirement. Shouldn't we actually seek justice as a people, as a nation? So we have CSOs, Coalition of Lawyers and Civil Society Organizations, who have gone to say, look, we need information on that. Is that the right thing to do? Or should we just let EFCC prosecute this man?
Well, I'm going to start this discourse by, as is usual of me, by going back in time. You recall there was a time in this country that Obasanjo went to Ekiti State, and the then governor, Ayo Fayose, said he had a very big poultry farm. And Obasanjo, being a farmer himself, a poultry farmer for that matter, asked a question that upturned the table. And that question was, you said these chicken are here, they have been here before I came. Can I see the waste? I mean, does it mean that they don't excrete? And that shows you the lie in government. If at that level, now coming back to NNPC, everybody that had been keeping track of what goes on in that behemoth will know that it's a cesspit of corruption. No corporation intended to service the people will be run the way NNPC had been running. Just suppose NNPC with Petrobras, Aramco, then you now know the extent of damage
that institution had wrought on Nigeria's economy in the last 40, 50 years. For 8 years of Buhari's tenure, NNPC was not audited. And Naiti was calling repeatedly for the audit of NNPC. At a point, they were even asking for forensic audit of NNPC. And rightly so, because how do you manage a corporation that is not bringing profit and you keep paying workers, keep employing workers at managerial level without any iota of production year in, year out? The average middle level officer in NNPC today earns more than a civil servant that is a permanent secretary. They have consolidated salary and not the public service salary. And you have myriads of offices that are domiciled in Abuja.
Okay.
Is Abuja part of the refineries? You have engineers seated in Abuja as group general manager, okay, directors and all that.
All right.
And
I
yet, sitting at top.
I understand your drift. Now, let's go back to the refineries that are not functioning now. Do you think that Yar'Adua made a mistake to revise the sale of those refineries?
It was
at the point Obasanjo sold those refineries.
It was a monumental mistake. You understand? The companies that calibrated equipment for NNPC in the last, I think it should be between 55 and 60 years ago. I think around 1965 was when the first refinery.
Yeah, Port Harcourt 1.
Port Harcourt 1. And up till 1974, when the last one was established, those companies are no longer in existence. And so, if you are looking for, there was a time somebody said, if I could get a B2 car that has the original engine that I was going to buy for 5 million naira, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get one. That shows that those refineries today, they don't have spare parts to fix those refineries.
But
so it would have been sold.
Curiously, there were refineries that were built in other parts of the world before them, but they are still surviving. They are still
They
working.
are surviving because there is consistent maintenance culture, such that you can recalibrate some of those parts and move it from what it used to be to advanced technology that exists at that period of time. So you keep upgrading. But where you have something that is just there.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much. Let's bring Mr. Eugene Ego into this conversation now. Now, monies have been set aside, spent, totaling about 4 billion naira. And I had to drag that for emphasis. 4 billion naira, dollars have been spent to revamp the refineries, but nothing is being produced. The Port Harcourt refinery is still working below 40% capacity, and then the Warri refinery is not even churning out anything. What would you say? This revamping, because we know that Bayo Ojulari, has been appointed a group to lead NNPCL, and there have been some other changes within NNPCL now. Over 200 people have been laid off, and then talking about a few of them, we've had the replacement of Bala Wuntu, who was former chief of National Petroleum Investment Management Services. We've had a replacement of Ibrahim Onoja, Managing Director of the Kaduna Refinery, and Lawal Shade, Chief Compliance Officer and former Managing Director of NNPC Trading. All of these individuals, over 200 people, have been taken away. Should Nigerians be expectant that NNPC will, do what it has been set up to do? Will Nigerians be proud of NNPC, seeing the appointments that the president has made? Some Nigerians have also asked, should the president remain the minister of NNPCL?
So again, it's I think the kind of corruption we see in Nigeria needs to be studied in a psychiatric laboratory. Nigerians,
we'd like for you to speak up a little bit so we can hear you. We're struggling to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Am I clear now? Yeah, so I'm saying our Nigerian leaders, the kind of corruption we see they go through, it needs to be studied in a psychiatric laboratory. It's so sad. We have bad leadership everywhere. It's so sad. Of course, the NNPC former boss, it's under fire right now for all of this nonsense. I can imagine the kind of pain he has. Is he under fire,
really?
I feel that guy should be, the Bible verse that talks about.
But we haven't heard that he's been picked up by any security agency.
Yes, the fire will come. The fire will come. I feel that guy should just be locked up and the keys to the prison thrown away somewhere else. It's so sad because he has caused pain to Nigeria as a whole. It's so sad.
Well,
all the kind of hardship we go through in this country.
I'm sorry to barge into your train of thoughts because I know you were headed somewhere initially, but these comments make me want to ask, if you're saying that he should be locked up and the keys thrown away because of the pains that he has caused, did he act alone? Did he act under the supervision of a minister? Buhari was the minister at some point. Should Buhari be arrested as well?
They are one and the same thing. Even to the new person who is now the new NNPC boss, do we think he will do better? Because we have a president Tinubu who is the minister of petroleum, who eventually will be dictating to him what should be done. The question is, does Tinubu have any knowledge about how to manage the petroleum industry? Why is he even in the middle of petroleum in the first place? Again, I don't want to go into all of those details. It's just to tell you how corrupt and how bad our leaders are. It's so sad. It's so sad. It's so sad. We just had the Pope's burial a few weeks ago. What happened? We were told that his savings was less than $100. That is like 150 naira in Nigeria. How many Nigerian leaders today can take a toll from that kind of person? When we have corruption flying everywhere. I think our leaders need to do a test, because the kind of corruption we have in Nigeria, I have not seen it anywhere in the world. They need to go through a test on how they even think of the kind of corruption they go into. People just sit down. I can't imagine you mismanage $400 billion. How? For crying out, how? It's so sad and it's very painful. And for me, I don't want to go into who is wrong, who is not right. It's just for Nigerians to open their eyes and see how our leaders are dealing with us, are messing with us. Very soon the polls will begin. They will start campaigning for votes. We must open our eyes to see the fact that we have badly.
Ask this question in the light of the fact that the ministry has full officialdom. We have the permanent secretary, we have level directors, we have deputy directors, and all of that. Who by the way, put facts and figures together for policies to come up. And when they make all these policies, I expect that they are industrial experts for them to occupy those positions. When they come up with all of these, now the president just makes an approval of the policy direction. Should the president be so knowledgeable about the oil industry? How many ministers, by the way, have full knowledge of the industry that they operate in? We have a Festus Keyamo, who is a lawyer, by the way, and he's the Minister of Aviation, and he seems to be doing well. So we'll have a problem with the president being the Minister of Petroleum.
Yes, it's completely wrong. Tinubu has a lot of things to bother about in Nigeria. We have insecurity. We have lots of things he should be bothering about. I feel becoming the Minister of Petroleum, it's an added headache to his already headaches that he has. Again, I love the fact that you are saying we've had people who are not industry experts who head some of these places, like the aviation minister, Mr. Kiam, for example. In the fact, why should we have? It's like round pegs in square holes.
But he seems to be doing well. People are applauding him.
Well, that is at the face level. You understand? So for me, it's the fact that Can we have the right persons to do the right things with free hands? I feel the president has a lot of work to do than to become Minister of Petroleum. Again, it tells you that there could be ulterior motive as to why he wants to be the Minister of Petroleum, for example. You understand? But again, I wish them well. For me, it's the fact that Nigeria is going through a lot of mess and shit.
I'm sorry to butt in at this moment, Eugene. When you talk about ulterior motives, can you expatiate on that? Can you be clearer? What ulterior motives would that be? I mean, he's not the first president to be Minister of Petroleum. We had someone in the past who was also Minister of Petroleum. Like I said, he also has a Minister of State for the three sectors, oil, gas, and the other one. So should that be, what ulterior motive would that be?
Time shall tell. The ulterior motives, time shall tell. Of course, we had a Buhari who was minister for 8 years in NPC. What was the result of his minister position for 8 years? All failure, right? Lately, before Kerry was removed, there was a saga between Kerry and Dangote and all of those things that was playing around. Time shall tell. But again, I stand to tell you that there are ulterior motives to why you want to. You are already the president. Why not become minister? You already have a lot of work to do. Why bother about becoming Minister of Petroleum when you have experts in the field? Why do you want to go to the angle? Because it is our sole source of income. And again, time shall tell. Yeah.
So shouldn't he devote more attention and energy to that cash cow? I mean, that is the thing that oils and fuels Nigeria's economy. Should the president be looking the other way? You have just made a very valid point. Don't you think that the president should focus on that?
Maybe Tinubu should become the Minister of Defense to handle another issue, insecurity in Nigeria. That's another angle of it. Why NNPC? Why not become Minister for Defense? Since Nigeria is going through a lot of crises around the state, the East, the North, the South, the West is all under fire.
He is already the Minister of Defense by virtue of being the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In writing. Yeah. So for me, it's the fact that, again, it's just one message. Corruption. Our leaders are all corrupt. It's so sad. I think our leaders should learn from the late Pope, who had $100 when he died. If you saw the videos, he had a very small bed. Can we learn from good leaders in the world, people who had $100 when they died?
Okay.
Can we have a Nigerian?
All right then.
Chairman with $100 when he's normal?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Eugene Igbo. Now let's come back to the studio where we still have the Refinery. Then I will ask you the same question. Do you have a problem with the president being the Minister of Petroleum, especially given what Eugene said that look, this is the cash cow, which you know, more like 85-90% of our earnings come from the oil industry. Should the president take away his attention from there? Is it not right, that he oversees what goes on there so that we don't have loopholes here and there? Do you have any problem?
At the height of economic pyramid in Nigeria is the oil sector.
Okay.
And in his own wisdom and the wisdom of the past administrations, apart from Jonathan, when Buhari came, he never appointed a petroleum minister. I think Obasanjo didn't do that. He only had Minister of State. And these are people that had served in various capacities before becoming president. So it's instructive, perhaps what they know, we don't know, that they have to sit atop the cash cow to ensure that nothing is amiss. But unfortunately, even in spite of the fact that they made us believe that they are in control, it appears from all these maggot reading cesspit that we see in NNPC that nothing is done and nothing is being done to ensure that this particular NNPC is serving the best interest of the common man in Nigeria. And so the essence of staying atop the oil industry by not appointing a substantive Minister of Petroleum has been defeated from what we are seeing now.
Okay, now still talking about what went down, with the $4 billion that was used for refinery repairs that is not working. Do you think that with what you know, if you go back in history, rely on experience, do you think that MLA Kyari will be prosecuted?
the extent to which Kyari could be called to question is solely dependent on the relationship between Buhari and Tinubu going forward. But
Buhari and Tinubu?
Yes.
Okay.
How so?
Because Kyari served...
Because I wanted to ask the nexus between Kyari, Buhari and Tinubu.
Yes. Kyari served under Buhari.
Okay.
And it was inherited by Tinubu. There is no way you would look into the books that vicarious liability will not bring Buhari back to question.
Okay.
And if that happens, that means there is a sour relationship between the two. And I don't see it happening, at least as at this morning. It could happen before the end of today.
Okay.
And you see, anybody that is GMD of NNPCL is somebody who directly works with the president, as it is, because the president is the substantive minister, and you have Minister of State who supervises other agencies in the oil sector. But the GMD has direct supervision from the petroleum minister, who is also the president. So there is no way you want to drag the petroleum minister
without dragging.
Dragging.
You said something that it could
the
happen.
Boss.
As at this morning, you don't see it happening.
I don't see it
before
happen.
The end of the day.
It could happen before
Could
the
it
end of
happen
the day.
before 2027?
I said it could happen before the end of today.
End of today.
End of today.
Okay, but what about 2027?
Nothing is cast in iron.
Bring 2027 into the mix. Is it possible that?
You see, I can tell you that.
With all these meetings happening in Katsina, people going to Katsina to say,
yes,
we have
you
come
see,
to...
this Kyari man, I'm sure, while we are giving ourselves headache and all that, crying more than the bereaved, I'm sure he will sit pretty well in his chair, in his sitting room.
You think he's sitting pretty? Because
I can tell you.
Those that work with him are being laid off. Don't you think that?
Look, you know why I said he's sitting pretty? Do you know that he knows that if he's going to go down, he will drag some people. And those people
he'll drag the cartel, the cabal.
The cabal. And he knows. Because over the years, since the regime of Abacha, that was when we started seeing hairdressers being awarded contract for turnaround maintenance. You remember Ete's episode, former speaker.
Now, you know, so essentially what you are saying is that nothing will come out of it.
Nothing is likely to come out. We have seen, and you know, there is this mantra that I always talk about. If you have any problem in Nigeria, don't bother yourself other than to go on your knees and pray. God, let another problem that is bigger than my own happen, so that they can forgive.
The issue with the oil and gas sector is an issue that will
it's too deep-seated. It's too deep-seated.
Nigerians. But going forward, as we wrap up this conversation now, should the government continue to invest in these legacy refineries, or should we think of privatization at this time?
You see,
seeing that over $4 billion have been put in already, and nothing.
If you check through the years, let's even take it back to 1999 to date. What has been expended on these 4 moribund refineries is enough to have like 450,000 barrels per day refinery in Nigeria that should be government owned. A lot of issues are within the oil sector. Do you know that in Aramco today, the situation room is such an automated situation room that any liter of crude that is extracted within the territorial waters of anywhere, anywhere in Saudi Arabia will be documented automatically. Why have you not deployed such technology in Nigeria? The same way people turn blind eye to technology is the same way governors will turn blind eye to automated IGR because of their selfish interests. And so what we have today is a cash cow.
All right.
That feeds the greed and avarice of a few politically exposed people in Nigeria, and that is the NNPC.
All right, then. Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Let's move on to Okowa expressing regrets over vice presidential bid with Atiku in 2023. Let's talk about this when we come back.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered.
VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa says he regrets accepting the vice presidential slot alongside Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 election, calling it a misalignment with desire of Delta people who opposed another Northern presidency. Now, speaking in an interview, Okowa admitted that despite early signs of disapproval from his constituents, he went ahead due to the PDP's federal-level decision, a move he now questions in hindsight. Now, reacting to Bukola Saraki's criticism, Okowa accused the former Senate president of lacking the moral ground to judge, citing Saraki's own history of party switches. Now, he revealed that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who was 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, will soon leave the party. That is, will soon leave the PDP. Interesting revelation, even though we know Atiku has been calling for a coalition, but he hasn't come out openly to say that he will be leaving the PDP. Well, we'll still have with us in the studio Dele Fanimo, a seasoned reporter, and virtually we have Eugene Ego. Well, gentlemen, let me start off with you now. This revelation of Atiku leaving the PDP, coming from his Okowa, yes, coming from Okowa, especially seeing that we've been talking, they've been talking about a possible merger with SDP, and some have also said El-Rufai in SDP is Atiku's placeholder. All of this conversation, what do you make of it? Do you foresee Atiku dumping the PDP after working so hard with the PDP?
How much of working hard has Atiku done in PDP for you to give him that cap? For me, Atiku is a serial boat-jumping politician. Show me one political party, apart from the latter-day LP and the rest. The legacy parties, those days of AC, ACN, AMPP, and the PDP, that Atiku has not transversed. And so, if Okowa is, I don't see it as a revelation anyway, because PDP is in ICU. And if a patient is in ICU, it's a 50-50 affair. Either he survives or he goes. So, and Atiku is not one to allow himself to be cocooned in a political party that is almost heading to that level. So, if Okowa is now telling us, as an insider in PDP until last week, that Atiku is primed to jump ship, of course, it's clear that from his utterances, from his body language, that is likely to jump ship.
Okowa also said something. He said he told Atiku of his movement to the APC before he moved to the APC. You know, he made that revelation. Do you think Atiku, is there a possibility that Atiku might be going to the APC. Since the APC, I mean, there is a tsunami, what has been referred to as the Tinubu hurricane. Everybody seems
we have already said
to be
this.
attracting everybody.
You see, we have already said this over time that if the politicians don't believe themselves, why should we believe them? There's nothing beneath a politician, especially of Nigerian hue. That is nothing. Atiku was once in dialogues with Tinubu in ACN. So how do you think that an Atiku who feels like Obasanjo said something when he went to Niger Delta during the build-up to Yar'Adua's emergence in 2007. When he met with Niger Deltans, I think in Rivers or Bayelsa, I can't remember now, when they were saying, no, we don't want a vice president ticket, we want to be president. I just said, well, you asked for president and I gave you vice president. I've met your demand halfway. But there's something instructive. What I know, you don't know. And you soon know. And what the Niger Deltans didn't know at that time was that he knew that Yar'Adua had a terminal ailment, that he may not survive till the end of his first term. And eventually, he gave them presidency by default. And Jonathan emerged as president of Nigeria. So, if the internal workings of APC and the PDP favors an Atiku, they will not be ashamed to move to APC.
Okay. All right.
And it will justify it.
Okay, moving to APC, I wonder who is going to APC to displace. Because a good number of people have said, within the APC have said, look, there is no vacancy in Asoro come 2027. And regarding the analogy,
that of the president.
Okay, regarding the analogy you made about Obasanjo and this, a lot of people will think that you are doing a disservice to the personality of Obasanjo by saying that he knew, that Yar'Adua.
I said probably he knew.
Okay, probably.
Probably
okay, use it loosely. Loosely. Okay. Now, let's bring in Eugene into this conversation. Eugene, Okowa has been quite vocal since Wednesday last week when he defected, when he more like ported from the APC, from the PDP to the APC. And yesterday he said, he said two things that are quite instructive. He said, I didn't leave because of any investigation. Recall that he's been investigated for a missing 1.3 trillion naira of Delta State. Money. He has dismissed that and he said, no, it has nothing to do with that. One, do you believe Okowa? And two, he says, Bukola Saraki has no moral right to judge me because I'm even learning from him because he have made switches between parties. In all of this, do you believe that Okowa is sincere when he says that he regrets taking up the slot for vice presidency? He should have given it to Wike because Wike was all out for it. Wike wanted to be Atiku's VP, but Okowa denied him that chance. And now he's saying, I regret doing that. How much of that did he do a disservice to the people of Niger Delta? South in general, or in particular?
I want to add to the other guests in the studio by describing Nigerian politicians. For me, they are political prostitutes. Today, if, for example, Tinubu calls Atiku come and become APC running mate for next election, Atiku will leave APC this very minute. Again, Nigerians must never believe these people. They are one and the same thing. I can tell you for free that just watch, just the way the sins of Apabio we are forgiven for the NDCC corruption. Okowa's sins will be forgiven. So you also recall that a few days ago, APC called the PDP virus. And right now, you are now admitting people from that same virus community. So maybe the APC should tell us, maybe do they have a baptismal right or a cleansing right that once you come into APC and you go through that right, your sins are forgiven? It's so sad. Of course, we know Okowa is living because he wants his sin to be forgiven before the EFCC. I wish him well. Yeah. Again, I love the fact that you mentioned that Atiku has never been in a place. At some point, he was in PDP. At some point, he was in APC. At some, he's been moving around. Nigerians must open their eyes and reject these people outrightly. Lastly, I think our politicians should learn from our political forefathers, the likes of Awolowo, who had and stuck to ideologies of their party. They stuck to ideologies. Nigerian politicians today are just going after money, and means of gaining. I think our Nigerian politicians, we need to study them in political science.
Okay. Eugene, groups, people are regrouping. El-Rufai is discussing with Atiku. Obedient Movement said, look, Obi, we will follow you to any party that you go to. Practically saying that, look, Obi, you can leave Labour Party. There's no problem with that. Discussions are being held across board. Amechi is discussing with El-Rufai. John Kayode Fayemi is discussing with Atiku and all of that. Do you see the possibility of this merger being able to withstand? Because I think APC has been described as a hurricane. Do you, in the midst of the crisis within the Labour Party, within the PDP, and by the way, a group of young men somewhere in Abuja yesterday said, look, Wale Adebayo, that's the presidential candidate of the SDP, where El-Rufai is now, said, look, you have no right to dictate who comes and who stays and who does whatever in this party. More like there's also a problem within the SDP. In all of this, do you see the possibility of a mega party that is strong enough to challenge the hegemony of the APC in Nigerian politics ahead of 2027?
I don't think so. Because even Tinubu, for example, APC, they have a special person within the APC who seems to be playing the dirty game. That is Wike. Wike, working for APC, still a PDP man. I can tell you for free that all of this fly cross-carpeting from in the southern region is personally planned by Wike. I can tell this for free. Of course, we know that Wike has been Atiku for all that happened, and right now he's being back. Left PDP, which wrote a letter to Atiku. So I don't think, because eventually, let me just say something. Even in that coalition of El-Rufai, Peter Obi, Atiku, they won't be able to come up with one person that will not be their flag bearer. So it will still be the same on foot.
All right, then, let me ask you. Okay, let me bring this question to Mr. Fanimo now. The PDP have said they will take Okowa to court. Do you think that will make any headway if Okowa, due to the defection that took place in Delta State, is dragged? Not just Okowa, every other Deltan that moved to the APC will be taken to court. What do you foresee happening?
Who took Saraki to court when he was within PDP and formed NPDP? And later ported to APC. Who took Atiku to court when he left PDP? Who took Obasanjo to court when he tore PDP ticket?
You don't think this is on the premise that there is no
Is there any provision in the Electoral Act that says a party person cannot cross to the other party? The only condition is there must be either crisis or faction.
Now,
in that political party.
My point. So,
don't
you think that is on the premise?
Because you have not reported in the media.
No crisis in the party around such a movement.
Because you have not read in the media.
They're saying they will take them to court?
Because you have not read
anything happening in that regard.
Because you have not read in the media that there was crisis in Delta PDP. It doesn't make it look like there is no crisis in. Crisis can start in the world that may not be reported in the media. And crisis can be orchestrated. And this man had been governor 2 times, so he knows the implication of cross-carpeting without making sure that he fulfills the provisions of the electoral law.
Now, do you think it's because he knows, or do you think it is because of the cases that you pointed out where nothing happened? You said Saraki left, Atiku left, and who left? So he knows.
I expect that he should know.
Okay, so he could just call their bluff and say nothing will happen because
and let them go to court now. Let them go to court and let's see how it plays out. What does it take to orchestrate crisis in the political party? even if it's an organized crisis. If at the ward level, the chairman of that ward and the secretary begins to fight, and the man says, we are not going to do this.
I would like for you to understand that the whole apparatus of PDP, so if there was crisis in one particular ward, did it affect all the wards in Delta State?
There's likely to be some splinters that will say, I'm not leaving. You see, politicians over the years, they learn from the mistakes of their forebears. And that's why it's always perfect for them when they jump ship. You can't nail them. In the history of this country, the only person that was punished for moving from one party to another happens to be my cousin and a member of my socio-cultural club in Akure.
Okay. What happened?
House of Rep member.
Briefly, we are going home now.
Because he didn't study the letters of the Constitution at that time, and he didn't factor the fact that there must be certain things that would have happened before you can jump ship.
Okay, so what?
And it was caught up in the web of a legislative game.
Okay.
And so
all right. As we close to now, can we have your concluding thoughts quickly on the issues that we talked about this morning, as briefly as you can?
Well, it's a wide good chase for the remnant of PDP to go to court to challenge Okowa for defecting.
Okay.
Then NNPC, as it is today, is primed and configured to continue to hemorrhage. And as long as you keep giving pints of blood to an hemorrhaging patient, you are only pouring water into a basket.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Delefanimo. Back to you, Mr. Eugene Iho. Can we have your concluding thoughts as we coast home?
Yes. So for me, I will also follow what he just said, that for the APC PDP saga, Nigerians should open their eyes and see how dirty these guys are doing and must reject them outrightly. And then the NNPC issue, he's completely right. NNPC is like going through hemorrhage, and having to put him out doesn't really make any sense. Nigerian government must rise to true and selfless leadership. Forget about all of these dramas. Become good leaders for once. Yeah.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Now, this is where we wrap up this conversation. We'll be speaking with two very wonderful gentlemen. From our Lagos studio here, we had Mr. Dele Fanimo. Dele is a seasoned reporter as well as VOP in-house analyst. We also joined from Benin virtually by Mr. Eugene Iho, who is a political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to VOP this morning. All right, then, on behalf of the backroom staff and my colleague here, Moses Humphrey, I am Chukwuma Okoro. Stay with us at 10 o'clock. On top of the hour, we'll move into full newspaper review of the headline review of the newspapers this morning. Join us again, and bye for now.
Is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being of an individual. It's the fundamental right of everyone to enjoy the highest attainable standard of health without distinction of race, religion, or political belief. On VOP TV, we bring you Health Check, a show that x-rays different health issues and provides solutions with the help of experts in the medical field. Join us every Saturday, 2 p.m. on Health Check. Health Check on VOP TV. Your health, our priority.
Everybody keep watching Voice of the People. All right? Love you all.
Hello, sweetie. What's going on? My name is Kiki. Keep watching VOP TV. Thanks.
Hey guys, what's going on? Olumide Oru, the Fresh Prince of Lagos here, and this is VOP TV, guys.
Hello, guys. I want you to please keep on watching VOP TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hafiz Oyetoro. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Shout out to VOP TV.
Very big shout out to the fans and lovers of VOP TV. My name is Tinubu. I'm an actor that you are going to live to love. Keep watching. Cheers.
Hi everyone, so shout out to VOP TV.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations and lots more.
Join me on Sundays every 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Voice of the People TV.
Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy. Every legacy holds the power to inspire. A unique interview series that celebrates the lives of Nigeria's elder statesmen and women through their remarkable journeys in the military, diplomacy, public service, academia, medicine, and beyond. Conversation that transcends generations, offering guidance to youth leaders, diplomats, technocrats, and future change makers. We unveil the wisdom, resilience, and achievements that shapes our nation and the world. Join us every Sunday on Voice of the People Television. Reminiscence, legacies that leads the way, stories that lives on.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV.